Hi, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Rene, and welcome to Zen and Tech, Mobile Nation's lifestyle podcast. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that while Georgia is a therapist, she is not your therapist. So everything said on the show today is for entertainment and informational purposes only. Georgia, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I like your new setup.
I like your new setup as well. It's a week of new setups.
That it is.
You look like you're in some sort of ancient medieval chapel or something.
That's it. I'm in some sort of strange cathedral.
Nice. So what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about how to deal with school stress.
I remember school. It was incredibly stressful.
It is really stressful, and we've had a lot of requests for how to deal with school stress and how to manage our time better and get better grades. So we decided now's the time to get one.
So when you say school stress, I mean, for me, school was stressful in oh so many ways. I mean, there was social anxiety because, you have the in kids and not in kids, and you just have all these, peer groups. But there's also stress about studying, about getting your work done. There's a stress involved in planning for your future because eventually you're going to leave high school and get kicked out of the house. I mean, there's just so many ways in which school is stressful.
There's a lot of ways. What we're going to deal with is mostly the career-oriented stresses that come with it. So picking a career that's right for you and mostly managing your time better and how to get through all of your studies.
You actually have to study, though. I mean, we're not going to take that off the table.
Well, there are some people that don't need to study, the lucky few, but most of us do have to study. I'm sorry.
All right, so where do you want to start? Do you want to start on good habits? Do you want to start? All right, so first of all, is it important to be good at school?
Well, what is being good at school? I think that lots of people think that being good at school means being smart. Unfortunately, as many of us know, that's almost a detriment to doing well at school. And it probably sounds kind of strange to you, right, that being smart might be a detriment to doing well at school?
It sounds very strange to me. I would have thought that if you were smart... Actually, no, that doesn't sound strange to me because Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, I mean, all the people who founded modern technology didn't finish school. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't finish school. I'm just saying that school, being intelligent is not the same as being fantastic in school.
Right, and the problem with being really smart is that often you don't learn the skills that will make you really good at school early enough, because you could attend class, never do any homework, and ace the exam. So you're not learning any of those really important organizational and dealing with suffering and being able to acquire knowledge because it just happens naturally to you. So by the time that you figure that out, it's at university or even during your master's, and then everyone's really smart. You cannot, if you haven't learned the study skills then, it's a really rough time trying to figure it out, and a lot of people drop out.
So what we're saying here is that we're not talking about whether you're smart or not. We're not talking about whether you're organized or not. We're not talking about merely surviving school. We're talking about the habits that you need to be successful at it.
And to have an easier time while you do it. I'm not going to say that this is going to make, if you do all of these tips and tricks and learn all of these techniques, that it's going to make school happy and fabulously fun all the time, because school isn't that way, but it will make school easier and it will make you have a greater chance of surviving school with the grades that you need to continue on with whatever you'd like.
Now, so let's break it. Are we talking about elementary school, high school, college? Yes?
We are dealing with all of the above. I would say that for most of these techniques, like, if you're 7 years old and watching this podcast, maybe you should have your parents watch it with you because they will have to help you implement the tools that you will need. But it is all about being prepared to be able to understand. So that's what we're dealing with more than anything else.
We might have parents watching trying to help their kid who's in elementary school do better.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's what we're going to help you with.
So where do we start? How do I get better at this?
Well, let's start with the basics, and this will probably go through a whole gambit of the different Zen and Techs that we've already done, but the first three things is that you want to make sure that you get adequate sleep, because sleep is what allows you to gather information and have it put into the right drawers of your brain so that you can pull it back out when you need to. So that's before you study and after you study. Sleep is really important.
So for the nerds, we did a show, I think it was the second or third show on sleep, and Georgia basically explained it's like taking the cache and writing it to disk. So you're ready to take in more information, but also you've managed to digest and process the stuff that you've already taken in.
Right. If your hard drive is a complete mess and information is everywhere, trying to find that file that you need is going to take a really long time. So sleep is when you are going to be putting all of those memories into place where you can find them easily and quickly when you need them.
Brain defrag.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so after sleep, what else is there?
Well, also eating healthy. Going to school takes up a lot of energy, so you want to make sure that you're having breakfast, even if it is just a few almonds or a yogurt or a glass of milk or juice. You want to have some energy so that you can go through the whole day of school without feeling overly tired or overly stressed.
Now, you did not say donuts and yoo-hoo.
You know what the funniest thing is that it is better for you to eat a donut in the morning than to have nothing. Can you believe that? So I'm actually
I cannot
saying
believe that.
Eat a jelly donut.
But is it better to eat an apple than a donut? I mean, like, what's the scale of betterments here?
Yes, it is better to have an apple than a donut, but if you're going to choose, it's either donut or nothing, have the donut. Maybe don't eat the entire donut, but have a little bit of the donut.
All right, so kids, she's not saying eat donuts. She's saying eat something healthy, but in case of emergency, take the little hammer, break open the donut box, have half of one of those, and still get to school.
Right, exactly. Like you've been asleep for 8 or, if you're a teenager, 12 hours, or me, 4 usually. And so you need to fill your body with energy so that it can do what it has to do throughout the day. So any type of energy is better than none.
All right, so sleep, nutrition, what else you got for me?
Okay, I have a great one. So exercise. This is really, really cool, and I'll go through this. But when you exercise, your brain actually causes more growth hormones that cause you to be able to form memories. Like the neurons say grow here. They little growth hormones kind of attach to the edges of the neurons, and they help growth. So exercising is one of the best things to help you learn.
So, I mean, like, these are the 3 classics, right? This is the set that we play at every one of these shows. Sleep well, eat better, and exercise. Big sign, neon sign. Do this now.
Please do these things.
Like walk to school, do jumping jacks during commercials. What kind of exercise are we talking about?
Anything, and it doesn't have to be for long. For your brain, it needs about 15 minutes of exercise, and every day would be great. You can break it up into 3 sets of 5, even if you want. 5 minutes, that is, if you'd like. But just a little bit something, especially if you're going into a class that's really difficult. Go do some jumping jacks, go to the washroom and jump up and down inside the stall. Anything that you so wish. It just helps prime your brain for learning.
Nice. So there comes the social anxiety again. Thank you, Georgia.
Sorry, yeah. If you have social anxiety...
No running in the halls! No running in the halls!
Don't do that if you have social anxiety. It's a little bit different in the way that you're going to deal with it, but maybe take a little bit of a running class or go around the track, and then other people will look up to you, and you won't have as much social anxiety.
Yeah. All right, what else?
So it's cute little running uniforms that you get to wear. Okay, well, let's deal with just the basics of stress. The last thing is that if you have, say, test anxiety or anxiety of being in class, or maybe it is a social anxiety and you have to, speak to someone else or form a group or worry about not being the last person picked for the dodgeball team, it was me, then what you want to do is you want to do your deep breathing techniques. So you can take a look at our breathing technique, but you just want to make sure that you just tone it down a notch. And the cool thing about the breathing techniques is they're very simple, and they trick your brain into thinking that there is no tiger about to attack you. Because your brain says, okay, if they're doing...
Hold on, go back. There's a tiger about to attack me?
When you do your deep, slow breathing, so just taking a deep breath in, and then relaxing...
No, hold on. Are you saying that, like me, if I'm stressed over taking a test, my body literally doesn't know the difference between that kind of stress and tiger attacking me stress?
Yes, it is the exact same stress. It's the same reason why when you're about to take a test, you get all shaky, your hands get cold, you have difficulty focusing, you start to shake, you want to escape, you might feel short of breath, your heart's racing. All of these things are preparing you for running away from a physical danger. Yes, battle. But it actually is the last thing that you want to do for a test. Unfortunately, our brains evolved to deal with mostly physical dangers, not mental dangers, because there were no math tests when we were evolving. So that's the way that we're primed. And no, your limbic system, the middle part of your brain that deals with anxiety, does not know the difference between whether it's a test, your in-laws coming over, or an actual tiger coming to attack you.
So for me, it was weird. Like I would be fine when a test started, but when I got to like 95% done, 97% done, I would start to go nuts. Like it was so hard to finish a test because as I got closer to finishing it, it got I don't know what the right word is. I just started getting so over-energized and so hyper that I could barely finish it.
That's interesting because usually it's the opposite. Most people deal with anticipatory anxiety, so it is the day before the test that they're really worried about it. And then during the test, usually your anxiety diminishes. Actually, that's the first time I've ever had someone that right before the end of the test, they get really maybe you're just excited because
It's too hard to finish.
Too hard to finish? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to discuss that because it is rare. Usually it is the night before or before the test, and when you're actually doing something, you feel better. It's rarer for someone to feel it during the actual
So does it
whatever
matter?
they're doing.
I mean, if you're stressed the night before, if you're stressed right before the test, if you're stressed at some point during it, like maybe you come across a really hard question you weren't expecting, at any point in that, can you stop and do your breathing?
Definitely. You should still do your breathing. You should also think to yourself ahead. So say, in 5 years, is this going to matter? Which really helped me a lot. In 5 years, am I even going to remember this test? Which usually is a no. It's not really going to matter. And also the same thing for that question. Really, is it going to matter whether I answer this question properly or not? Is anyone going to remember? If I, make a mistake in my oral presentation or not, or if I get a 90 or an 85, does it really make that much of a difference? Unfortunately, a lot of people that have anxiety are also perfectionists. Check out the Perfectionist show. And so it really does matter to them. I got a B- in one of my classes for my master's.
Oh, my.
It was horrible. It was horrible. I was really hard on myself. It still burns a little bit thinking about it. But no one else cares. No one's even ever asked me about my marks in school, any of my clients. Maybe they should. Yeah, no one really cares anymore. So it just bothers me.
So what about, the worst of the worst, the pop quiz hotshot? Like you're sitting there, you're minding your own business, you're ready just to zone out in class, and all of a sudden, teacher looks over those nasty little glasses and says, pop quiz, and it's almost like you can hear someone yelling, incoming, and you want to dive under the desk.
Usually most people like that better than having a test that they have to study for a lot because there's nothing they can do, and that's what you want to think, is that there's nothing that I can do anymore. I'm in it. You do your breathing, and then you say, I'm going to do the best that I can. If you need, ask to go to the washroom. If you need to take a little bit of a walk.
I've tried that.
Do some...
They got wise to me.
Then go back into the class and finish the exam. But that also brings us to one of the largest things that causes anxiety in school is not being prepared in the first place. You do not, if I was one of those crammers, or I wouldn't study at all, and I usually would do really well, so I had a hard time in university because of that. But often what would happen is that I hadn't been practicing or reading during the school year. I would study for, no matter what test it was, the night or two beforehand. So I'd read like a textbook this much all the night before. The worst thing to do for an exam because your brain can only handle so much information. So be prepared.
So when you say be prepared, it sounds like she's saying do your homework. Like read that chapter of the book when they tell you to read that chapter of the book.
I'm actually saying something even worse than this. You should read the chapter of the book before the class so that during the class you will know what you don't understand already, and then you can ask a question. Us going to the class, then reading the book afterwards and still being lost, there's a little bit of recourse. But yeah, I kind of am saying if you really want to be good at school, do your homework, you feel less stressed. Though I do have a great technique for not becoming overwhelmed with the amount of assignments that you have to do throughout the year. And this is a technique that I, as a perfectionistic procrastinator, used during my master's, and life became so much easier. I wish someone had given me this technique myself, and maybe we can put it on the website so other people can just take a look at it and use it as they want, change it into what you need. But I'll give you my kind of template. So I'm going to put this up. I don't know if anyone can even see it.
Yep, you can see it.
Awesome. So what I would end up doing is I only worked on one assignment at a time. So I would mark on the dates. I would only work 2 months at a time, and I would mark when everything was due. But then what I did was, I know about how long it takes me to write, depending on, how many pages that I'm working with, so I know how much a 15-page paper would take me, approximately. So what I would do is this, is that I would put the due date, the class, and I would put down when I'm going to start this class, when I'm going to start working on whatever assignment it might be there. And then I'm only working on one assignment at a time. So I don't have 3 papers that I have to write and they're all the next day. I will have already planned out 2 months before when I'm going to start each assignment and when I'm going to finish it, so that I'm working earlier and then I'm only stressing about one. And also, that thing of planning out your entire set of assignments one after the other, often this would be weeks before they were actually due, because there would be no way that I would have been able to do 3 assignments in 4 days. I had no stress at all because I knew that I had to start the assignment here, finish it. This was the test. I would start studying for that test, finish that. And everything was sequential, studying or papers, oral presentations, one after the other. So I'm only actually studying for one thing at a time, and if I can finish it early, it was almost like a video game. I felt like an achievement unlocked, and then I get actually earlier time to finish something, and then I can play video games without any stress, which is so much more fun than playing video games when you're thinking about really you should be doing your assignment instead. So I loved that. I think that that feeling of being prepared, one of the best things for anxiety, and only working on one assignment at a time to completion, was awesome, and it just made me feel so relaxed. And I never had a paper or an assignment that was late, which is, if anyone knows me, I like Rene. I'm late for everything, aren't I?
You were late for the show.
I was. I was late for this show, but I'm trying so hard to be the shepherd.
Nicely played. So I have a hard question for you. This all sounds great, but when I was in school, there's this tip, we've talked about this so often on the show. Human beings are really easy adept at mortgaging their future for immediate gratification now.
Yes.
So, for example, in school, I just wanted to draw. I just wanted to use the computer. I didn't want to do my homework. I had no I mean, I knew vaguely that if I didn't do my work, I wouldn't progress in school. Maybe I couldn't be a doctor or I couldn't be a lawyer or something. But I didn't care because, oh, wow, drawing. Oh, well, school. So what I don't know is, how do you make it clear either to young children who you're parenting, or if you're in high school and you should be taking personal responsibility, that you need to consider the future, that you just cannot live immediately for the now, no matter how much better it seems at the time?
Okay, well, I'll go through different ways, but the way that I explain it, depending on who I'm speaking to. One is, you have to know yourself. It's the first thing. You have to be honest about what works for you. We often talk about working out, and though I am fully trained to teach other people to work out and very good at it, I will not work out on my own. I have to go to a class. I will work out better and for longer and stronger if someone's watching over me. You have to be honest with what is your strengths and what are your weaknesses.
Because you're hyper-competitive, just saying that.
Exactly. Plus, you want to game the system. So if you can't change something, change the environment around you to make it the easiest way so that it works for you. So when I often talk to children and young adults about this, I put it in terms that they really understand. So I use video games because I love video games and they're awesome, but also it makes so much sense. So if you have a warrior that you are dealing with and you're going to go fight a big boss, are you going to spend your time with your character leveling up and maxing out your swordsman skills, or are you going to take up knitting?
Okay, I'm going to go for swordsman skills here.
If you're going to fight the big boss, you are going to make the most epic, highly leveled character and spend all the time doing that. So if you were a video game, what would you rather do? Bring up the wisdom and intelligence and knowledge so you get good grades and then you can become whatever you want in life? Or are you going to decide to, if you were playing yourself as a video game, would you say study? Would you press the study button? Or would you press the go to sleep button?
Go to sleep button.
Right. You should press the study button. So you need to know that what you're doing is leveling up your own character. And I thought back to all the times that I wasted, all the times that I enjoyed, but wasted playing like EverQuest and World of Warcraft. If I'd spent all those hours, becoming a swordsmith or something else, I would be pretty epic at it. So you want to level up yourself. You are the character that you get to keep even when this game, these pixels, disappear into wherever pixels go to die.
So, I mean, going back to what you said about the exercise, is it if you know that you have poor discipline when it comes to studying, is it worthwhile investigating studying groups or doing some sort of online studying thing? Is it better to put yourself in those kind of situations?
Perfect. Well, let's go through the three main rules because I think that's a perfect segue to it. One is you want to start earlier than later. During the day, our brains kind of fizzle out as we need to go to sleep. Like it's almost like having mounds and mounds of laundry that you want to put away. It is harder and harder to put more laundry on top of the basket. So you want to study earlier than later. Two, you want to study in school. I know it sounds horrible, but join the study groups. Even those that really, really hate the idea of doing like
Even the really bad one on community?
right, even that one is better than nothing because there's someone there, and also you end up with that group mind sync of other people are also studying, so you're going to study. Plus, there might be some cute girl or guy in the class, and that's going to make you want to help them out with their homework.
Or
So
get
you're
help?
gonna, or get help with them. Definitely a great way to ask someone, how do you do this problem
Just
and what is
make
this
sure there's a
test?
group of you. That way you actually have to study.
Exactly, but you want that group sync, so you want to join all of the study groups in your school. It will help out so much. Like, even those that have said to me, there is no way, Georgia, that I ever want to join the study group or the homework program in my after school or in my high school or in my university, I would hate that. Everyone has come back, and it's like 100% of the people that I see have said, you know what, that was so much better, my grades are better, I'm doing better.
Well, sort of like if you're trying to eat healthier, don't buy cookies. If you're trying to study more, put yourself in an environment where you have to study.
Yeah, or hang out with other people that are also eating healthier. You want to hang out with people that know a better way than you do and learn from them. So talk about it. Plus, you'll have more homework done than you would have been at home because everyone sits at home and then suddenly they're surfing Reddit or hopefully watching the iMore show or ZEN TECH, those are good things. You can do those. But you should also study first. The last one would be if you need help, get a tutor. Get a tutor. It's so easy. It's wonderful. There's going to be someone that's going to teach you all the tips and tricks of what you're dealing with. Don't feel bad. It isn't, something that you should be ashamed of.
No,
It
it's
is
a cheat. It's a hack. You're
wonderful.
finding out someone who's done it before, and you're learning from their experience. You don't have to do it yourself.
Exactly. Apprenticeship works for a reason,
It's
so
like a
it's
cheat at Candy
faster.
Crush or something.
Yes, exactly. And I think that I would have never passed calculus if I did not. I definitely would have never passed calculus if I didn't have a tutor.
Nice. All right. So, could we, because this is Zen and tech, is there tech that could help us with this?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Renee. Tell me, what's the best tech that we can use to keep us on sync, manage our courses, write things down? What would be the best for that?
So, I mean, it depends how you want to break it down. First of all, I'd say like a smartphone is good, and most people have a smartphone now. If you don't, it's a great excuse to try and encourage your parents to give it to you. And I say a smartphone rather than like an iPod Touch or a PDA if they still have those, or even like one of those calculator things because it goes online, and online is going to be a big factor in other stuff that I recommend. For a couple of reasons. One is when you're online anywhere, you can take notes anytime. Those notes typically back up, at least the way I suggest, they always back up to the cloud. So if you lose your phone, it's not like you lose your workbook. You can still go and get like whether it's on the web or someplace else, you can find a copy of your work. So it gives you backup. It gives you peace of mind. There's nothing worse than spending a lot of time working on something for it to disappear. It's a horrible, horrible
Yeah.
feeling. Or you get home and you finally are ready to study and you can't find your notes. It just helps you set up for success. So a phone, and it can be any kind of phone. I mean, if you like the iPhone, get that. If you want a bigger phone, you can even get like a Galaxy Note 3 that's so big it might as well be a textbook. I mean, there's a lot of variety out there. There's some great Windows phones. No matter what you like, you can find a really good smartphone. As long as it has enough data for you to back up your stuff, I think that's really key. You
I
could
think that also carrying a tablet into class is really, really helpful because one of the easiest things that I found was taping my class or like videotaping my class or audio taping my class so that I could listen to any of the difficult classes again when I had issues with it. And that was amazing because I could listen to the first class. It was like 3 months ago. I could listen to the first lecture and right before the exam it would be just set into my mind.
No, I think that's absolutely true. That's why I said like the Galaxy Note might be better for people who don't want to carry a tablet and a phone. But if you have an iPad, as long as it's something again that can, like, whether it's on Wi-Fi or not, as long as it can back up to the internet, I think that's great.
They do have, the only thing is that you annoy people. If you bring even a laptop into class and you have those little tappy noises, please get one of those dampeners that go over your keys so that you are not annoying everyone that is
Well, that's
next
why I
to
like
you.
mobile much better because it's more portable and it,
Right.
the capacitive keyboards. Maybe you can't. So that's another thing. So you can take notes. For example, there's some. I would suggest Evernote for notes
Mm.
because it works on every platform. On iOS, you can even now get the new one with SwiftKey built in, so which is an easy way to type, very fast way to get notes in. On Android, you can use the SwiftKey keyboard with Evernote. A super fast way of getting notes in. But if you prefer handwriting, the Galaxy Notes have a built-in stylus with a digitizer. If you don't have one of those, you can buy a capacitive styler. I like right now the Adonit Jot
That
script
was, yeah, that was beautiful. We tried that out at CES. It was gorgeous.
because it looks and feels like a pen. It gives you the same kind of tactile feedback as a pen. And
Yeah.
if you have nice handwriting, and I think Georgia, you've said before that when you write something down, you remember it better than typing.
You do. You do. It's something that you're doing. It slows it down a little bit more, and it's in your own handwriting, so that feedback kind of causes a loop in your brain.
So that I recommend. I also recommend this app called Trello. Now there's an iOS version and there's an Android version and there's a web version. I believe there's an unofficial Windows Phone version, and if you have a BlackBerry, you can sideload the Android app. Shh, don't tell anybody. But what Trello is you create these cards and you can create lists. And the nice thing is, no matter what interface you're using, you can move them around. So if you look at Georgia's form, this is like a digital version of that.
It's true. I love Trello. Trello is beautiful and fun because it's really intuitive. I don't like any application that I'm going to have a huge learning curve to figure out. Trello is amazing, and plus you can share it with other people, so you can deal with study groups or other things together. I absolutely love this application. Plus you get notifications, so I get an email if someone's moved a card or my assignments moved up in time, and can you send little reminders to you, do this now. I love Trello. It's great.
So the way it works is you create a card, you can put a due date to it. If you're by yourself, that's fine. If you're with other people, you can, like if you're doing a group project, you can assign who's doing which part of it. You can add comments to it. You can put there's a free plan. If you have the higher level plan, you can put stickers on it, which is great, like pwned or achievement unlocked or something. And it's like gamified. I don't know what the right word is for it. I like think of it like a whiteboard, but it's like gamified awesome.
It's a pretty sweet application. I think it would be really well used for getting all of your assignments due, and you wouldn't feel stressed out because the card is waiting for you and you'll get a notification to it.
Now, another thing I like is Audible, audible.com. Now it's owned by Amazon, but basically it's what used to be books on tape. It's audio books. And if you've been assigned a book in school, you can read it, yes, but you could also listen to it. Like if you're on the bus for a long period of time or you're walking to school or something, it's hard to read when you're bouncing around. It's not really practical to read as you're walking, but you can listen to the books read by really good people. And even if you read the book as well in text form, being able to listen to it just makes me remember it. It makes it come to life so much more.
I think that's a great idea. Plus, even if there's a technique or a different idea that you don't understand, you can also just look it up on YouTube to see someone else explaining it, a mini type of tutoring, which is good. So I think that those two work out really well together. One is you can listen to the audio, you can use Audible to listen to the audio book beforehand, travel along with it. If there's any techniques in that you don't remember, you can even leave yourself a little Trello little thing to remember this, like I don't know what this technique means, and then you can take a look on YouTube or somewhere else to have someone kind of privately tutor you without having to hire someone to tutor you.
Now, depending on your school, you might also have stuff like iBooks textbooks or Google Books textbooks or Amazon textbooks available to you too. I like those because I don't have to carry around a ton of books anymore. I can just have them all in one phone or one tablet. It's going to depend on your school whether they're available for you and how much they cost and stuff like that. But I'm a big fan of, once you buy them, you can download them onto all your devices. If you leave your phone or you lose your tablet, download another copy. It's not like losing your textbook. And anything that exists in only one place might as well not exist anywhere. So when I can have digital, cloud-based copies of stuff, I am always very happy.
I like that. That's a good technique too.
Well, it de-stresses me. So the thing is, I was worried about forgetting which locker was mine. So I mean, if forgetting books, I hated that. Forgetting assignments, forgetting papers, forgetting the material I needed. I've spoken to teachers who come home and they go, "Oh, I forgot the stuff I was supposed to mark." Digital stuff, if it's on the cloud, that just doesn't happen. You can borrow your parents' computer and just go on the browser and do it.
But then I can't say that my dog ate my homework.
your CyberDog virus ate your homework. I mean, like
Okay.
you got to evolve your excuses.
Has to evolve with the times. Another really great tip is just start off. If a body in motion wants to stay in motion, so if you say, I'm just going to start working on this for 5 minutes, I'm going to have a nice, clean, open space to work in, you want to keep your tech locked down to the internet while you are studying. So you really don't want to surf the web while you're studying. You want to do just all of the other studying stuff. Maybe play some nice music. If you have, some great music, you can play it off of your phone to keep you relaxed. Turn off all beeping, buzzing, phone rings, move that away, and then get started. Once you've started, it's so much easier to continue than it is if you're going to hold it off and just think I'm going to do something else until then. But just say I'm going to do 5 minutes.
I agree with that completely. That's one of the reasons I recommend tablets and phones, because they tend to be full screen experiences, which are distraction free. And yes, I mean, if you're chatting with somebody to do homework, is one thing, but turn off the distractions. And sort of the last thing I'll recommend is what we're using to do the show right now, which is Google Hangouts. Maybe you could use Skype, maybe you could use FaceTime, whatever technology appeals to you. It means that your study group can be anywhere. Even if you're at home, you can. And the person you're studying with is in another city but happens to be doing the same class, whatever, it's your cousin, doesn't matter. You can easily get together in a virtual group. If you don't have a real place to study, someone's parents won't let you come over, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You just start up a browser or launch an app, and in 3 seconds, you're all working together.
I think that's a great idea, because a lot of people stress out about trying to find the time when they're all going to get together to figure out what they're going to do. How many people can you have in a Hangout?
You can throw tons of people at a Hangout. I'm sure there is
Awesome.
a limit depending on your account type, but I have not yet found it.
Wonderful. So no matter what, you can get together, and it's really easy to get started, and then you can all deal with that, and you don't have to worry about one person's here, or even if someone's away, you can have that one person added to the Hangout and everyone else gets together.
And exactly the same way, if you're using Hangouts, that's fine. If you're using Skype, that's fine. WhatsApp, GroupMe, Line, any sort of group messaging thing, you can create a permanent room where all of you can discuss. Obviously, don't let yourself get distracted by what the latest pop star is wearing, or what that commercial happened or whatever.
Unless your school course is on fashion.
Sure, but having that persistent group means that you can, talk to each other, get help, ask questions, give progress reports, and it just helps you stay in contact in a better way than you could previously.
I love it.
Awesome. So Georgia, just to sort of wrap things up, you want to eat well, sleep well, exercise well. You want to make sure you do your breathing. You want to set up no-fail environments. What were your other tips?
Take it little piece by little piece, work one assignment at a time, try to read what you can before any difficult class, do your homework in the study group at school, do that one. Just everyone should do that. It doesn't matter even if you're acing everything, just do that. It's so much better. Get it done earlier in the day than later, and earlier in the week than later in the week, and then just cut it into bite-sized little pieces. Don't overstress it. You will probably never remember and or care 5 years from now, and keep at it.
Yeah, and let your tech enable you to do great things and not distract you and stop you from doing what's in front of you.
Love it.
All right, Georgia, if people want to know more about this kind of stuff, if they want to find you on these social networks, where are you?
You can find me at Georgia_Dow.
Nice.
DOW.
And you can find me at Rene Ritchie. You can find both of us at mobilenations.com. Georgia, thank you so much. If you people have questions, if there are things that were not clear, if you are situations that are specific to you, please do not hesitate. Just email us or yell at us on Twitter. All of that is in the show notes. Let us know, and we're going to try to do Q&A episodes. Maybe once a month, but as often as we need to do. So if you have questions, we want to provide answers.
Sounds good.
Georgia, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Rene.